What up, guys? It's week 3 out here on the Dakotas tour, and I just wanted to give you some updates on my golf game, what I've learned so far, what I'm doing to get better. So this is more of like a technical golf aspect type video. If you're not interested in that, go ahead and skip it. If so, sit tight for about 5 minutes and I'll work through everything that's happened in the first 2 weeks out here for you. So just got off the phone with my good friend back home, Brett Silvernail, and also one of my most trusted inner circle voices on my golf game, both swing-wise and just mentality-wise. And he's actually flying out here tomorrow to play in the 3rd Dakotas Tour event, which is super exciting. But I ran some questions by him after I learned through the first 2 tournaments what was working well and what wasn't working well in my game. I was excited to get to this point because back home I was playing really well before I came out here. But I knew that once I got under tournament pressure and I traveled thousands of miles and all these different factors were thrown in the mix, some things would change. And I couldn't wait to get some data in my pocket to analyze what's going well, what isn't, how can I make a game plan to improve my weaknesses moving forward. This is like a bridge that I've been needing to cross for a while, and there was not going to be any way to get there until I got out here and was able to have, tournament time pressure to see what didn't work in my game. So now that we've crossed that bridge, I've learned in the first 2 events, my swing has a 2-way miss, which is death when you're trying to play competitive golf. I'd like to be drawing my irons and fading my driver. That's the way I've always played the game. And that's not happening right now. I've also got issues with low point control. I'm chunking some shots and blading some shots. I've also got the hosel getting too close to the ball. I'm good for about 1 shank per round right now. And that comes from my hand path working out too quick. Usually when I try to gas the ball and step on it, I don't finish my backswing. I don't get enough depth, and my hands creep out too soon, exposing the hosel, and I'll tilt right to try to save it. So anyway, those things have all popped up, as well as putting. I'm leaving putts short in the jar like 4 times around, and a couple others that are like an inch left or an inch right, and they're just barely creeping up to the hole. And to me, that screams that I'm afraid. I don't want to race it 4 feet by because I'm not sure if I'll make the putt. And what if I made a bogey or a 3 putt? That would be really terrible. And like, instead of avoiding that stuff I'm trying to avoid, it's actually happening by playing that fearfully. I am 3-putting. I am missing 3-footers. And athletically, making a 3-foot putt is something that like a 5-year-old could do. So with as much as we practice, when you miss those in a tournament, it's 100% related to your mindset and being afraid of missing it rather than trying to make it. And that's echoing throughout my entire golf game. I know for 100% fact that I'm playing scared right now and trying to guide the ball around the golf course. I'm trying to bunch shots to keep it in the short stuff rather than like just, having that confidence. And that doesn't mean just rip driver everywhere and be reckless. That just means even if you do pick a conservative target, make a super aggressive swing to it. So Brett kind of helped me tease out some of that stuff going on mentally, and also and Kyle and I just had the same talk a week ago as well. So it's been a recurring theme. I'm totally on board. It's the number one thing I want to work on in my game. Freeing up, letting go, not guiding, not being afraid of where the ball goes, but instead being okay with any outcome. And once you do that and you just don't care, all of a sudden you're free to make your best swings and play your best golf. It's funny how it works like that. So we addressed some of the technical stuff though today on the phone regarding my lie angles. I'm really, I used to play a big time draw with all my irons. I could guarantee it was going to draw back, and that made the game very easy to play because I could start a ball on the right edge of the green and know it was going to work somewhere left of that, or I could start it on a hazard and know it was going to work somewhere left of that. And right now I've got a 2-way miss. Some are screaming low and left and moving fast that way. Others are blocks outright, which is a terrifying place to play golf from, not knowing what you're going to get. And you can't pick lines that way to start your ball on. And part of it, so I have like 2 3/4 degree, almost 3 degree flat lie angles on all my clubs, including my wedges, which feels uncomfortable to me. I don't like the toe dragging like that. But I did it a couple years ago because I had such a big draw pattern that kind of neutralized it at least a little bit. I still hit draws, but it had more of a tendency to stay higher and softer outright with that lie angle change. And I was shallowing the club a little bit better at the time, so the club interacted with the turf a little bit more neutrally that way anyway. Now it doesn't seem to be the case, and so Brett was like, yeah, the quickest thing you could probably do to get a shot shape that's consistent again as a draw would be to get your lie angles more neutral. So I'm going to address that tomorrow before this next tournament. I'm very excited to see how that feels because, yeah, even if it is a sling draw, As long as it's moving one way, I could play golf with that. And the same goes for my driver. I messed around with the driver last week. I put Kyle's Sim 2 in the bag, which had a stiffer shaft and it was an inch longer. So it's not like we looked at it on Flight Scope and made some choice that way. It was just like hitting balls on the range. It looks good to me. So I gamed it for the first round at Fox Run. Didn't hold up to the test. And so I went right back to my driver for the second round. The issue is that my driver also has a two-way miss. My driver should fade for me, and that's because vertical swing plane. So when you hit up on the ball with the driver rather than down on the ball with irons, it could be the same swing plane, but hitting up on a driver is going to have more of an out to in path. Hitting down on irons is going to have more of an in to out path, and that's going to produce draw with the irons, fade with the driver, even though you're making the same swing. And that hasn't been the case. My driver's been going left on me like at least half the time and falling out of the air really quickly. And it's scary. It's like, damn, I thought I hit that really good. And I started it at a left line that it needed to fade off of. And instead it just draws and it's gone. It's like, fuck, I actually hit that pretty good. Like, this is a scary place to play golf from. So that's why I changed to Kyle's for the day, is it felt left proof on the range. But that didn't prove to be the case. One of the things Brett brought up was like, maybe your driver doesn't have enough spin right now. Maybe you're hitting it too high on the face, because I'm teeing my driver high again to promote more of an upswing at the ball, to promote more of a fade, because I've been seeing so many go left and I'm trying to get rid of that. But he's like, maybe because of that, you're hitting it higher on the face, not having enough spin on the ball. And if your path is that all in to out with that low spin combo, that ball is going to have a tendency to just dive left and fall out of the sky really quickly. And that is definitely the miss I've been seeing. So he's like, yeah, tee it lower and open your chest a little bit more quickly through impact, get that path working a little more out to in, and try to hold that face just a tiny bit. And I bet you'll start to see more spin on the ball and it'll start to work left to right. So I'm excited to try that. I'm excited to tweak the lie angles, and also just like a mentality upgrade that we talked about is just having just more confidence, basically. Like, I'd love to just wake up every day and know I was going to win the golf tournament. I think that in Tiger's like 07, 08 stretch, he probably felt that way. I think right now, Brady Calkins, the one of the most prolific mini tour players of all time, who's out here on the Dakotas tour and one of my best friends, I think he steps to tournaments feeling like it would be a travesty if he didn't win. Like, he knows that it's not like, oh, I hope I play well or I hope I make the cut. It's like, nah, dude, I got this. Like, of course, we'd all love to have that kind of unwavering confidence, but you don't just wake up one day and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm the man. Like, we judge ourselves the same way that we judge other people based on behavior, right? So if you watched a dad drink every single day and not take care of his family, you would call him an alcoholic. If you did the same thing, you would judge yourself as an alcoholic. But on the flip side of that coin, you can upgrade your self belief and value system by mimicking the behaviors of who you want to become, successful people. Like, if you show up to the gym every single day, you start to think of yourself as a committed, disciplined person. If you practice golf every day, you start to think of yourself as a great golfer. Like, it's not that hard to trick your brain into thinking what you want it to think about yourself. You just have to start acting like the person you want to become would act. And so my whole process of kind of approaching golf holistically with all these other habits that might not at face value seem like they relate to golf, like I care so much about mindfulness and meditation, and I'm drinking green smoothies, and I'm in the gym all the time, and I care about sleep hygiene and a consistent sleep schedule, and I care about the kind of content that I let come into my brain, because it affects the garden of seeds in my mind and what kind of thoughts and actions grow from that. Like, all these things that at face value you might be like, what are you doing, dude? Like, just go play golf. Okay, but this is all the purpose of it all. I mean, yet one, it's just great to do in life in general. Like, it's something I'll always strive for, being the best version of myself I can be. I think everyone should try to do that. But two, it does bleed over into golf, because again, like what I'm saying here is that my goal is to become the most confident version of myself I can be, so that I can stop playing in fear and stop being afraid of hitting bad shots, making bogeys, running a putt 4 feet by, blading one or chunking one in a tournament. Stop thinking about any of that and start thinking about what was the best thing that could happen. Like, what's the shot that I'm trying to hit and that I'm committed to here? The more and more habits and behaviors and routines I have in my life that are healthy and positive and make me think more highly of myself, the easier it is to bring that guy out on the golf course. You can't just like never train it, never practice it, and then show up one day and be like, oh, I'm confident now. It's like, no, you upgrade that over time through hard work. And so that's why I have the approach to golf that I have. So that's my biggest goal for the entire summer, is to like, I have an analytical brain, right? So it's after the first week, I identified with Kyle that letting go was going to be the most important thing this summer. Not playing guided golf, not trying to avoid making mistakes and bunt the golf ball into play, but just really fucking ripping at the ball and being okay with any outcome. Once you're okay with any outcome, you make the possibility of the best outcome a real thing. But even though my intention was there this last week to do that, I need to at least have some understanding of cause and effect of my golf swing and the shots I'm hitting to be able to shut that part of my brain off. And after talking with Brett today, I feel much more like I'm there. I need to practice it and see it in person and feel it for it to really sink in. But the tips that Brett just gave me and the small tweaks that we're going to make, some swing feels, basically just, opening my chest more through impact, and getting, more depth and a full turn in my backswing. Very simple feels. That's not really swing thoughty at all. But I understand now after talking with him why that's going to be important for low point control, why that's going to be important for club face stability, why this couple tweaks we could make with my driver teeing up lower and with my iron lie angle changes, like why those tweaks would lead to me having a consistent shot shape of draws with irons, fades with driver, like starting to understand that rather than where I just played this last week, which is like, all right, let's be free. Let's go out there and just freewheel it, but not knowing which shot I was going to get out of the bag literally every time. Like, this might draw, this might fade. So where the hell do I aim? Like, I have no confidence that it's guaranteed going to go one way or the other. So if I can work through this in practice now and start to see the shot shapes that I want to see with these changes that I'm talking about making with Brett, then I can go on the golf course and free up and be like, all right, I know my shot's moving this way. Let's just focus on target. And so that's what I'm hoping to work towards in the third week here. Lots of exciting stuff. So much more I could go into, but I want to keep this short for your guys' attention. So thank you for all the support. Much love as always. Cheers, guys.